Hyrkan's hand pressed against the top of the skeletal warrior's head, and a radiant turquoise energy slowly spread, seeping deep inside. The magical light enveloped the skeleton, healing the wound on its head. It's done. The skeletal warrior stood tall, raising the sword in its hand as if taking an oath. Its entire body shimmered under the aura, signaling a more powerful rebirth. In the dense forest, the skeletal warrior stood before Hyrkan. Its cheeks were oddly flushed, its eyes sparkling with admiration and joy, seemingly very pleased with its new appearance. Hyrkan looked at its form and asked, "You like it that much? Appearance isn't important when playing games. What's important is what's on the inside." The skeletal warrior stood bewildered in the forest, completely unaware of what Hyrkan was saying.
With a mischievous smile, Hyrkan eagerly turned to the skeleton warrior standing beside him, its eyes gleaming with a bewildered blue light. He couldn't hide the excitement in his voice. Their war clocks really hit the jackpot. Selling the war clocks obtained from other players truly unlocked a treasure trove. Each clock had a chance to drop a random item from its former owner's inventory, and luck smiled upon Hyrkan. From rare equipment like the Black Goblin pants that increased mana and intelligence, the powerful ancient spirit sword, to valuable skill books radiating a deep purple magical aura like the demonic curse, and of course, sparkling gold coins raining down. Hyrkan could no longer hold back, throwing his head back and laughing heartily amidst the rain of gold. He spread his arms wide, embracing the unexpected wealth. Muhaha! This is what you truly call hitting the jackpot. Thanks to that enormous fortune, he was able to achieve his goal. In the quiet forest, Hyrkan smiled contentedly, a radiant blue energy mask converging in his palm. Thanks to that, I was able to create this. The energy mask gradually condensed, quickly forming a familiar object. Faster than expected. In an instant, a perfectly formed bone haho mask with strange patterns appeared, resting neatly in Hyrkan's palm.
In the serene quiet of the forest, Hyrkan subtly smiled, a calculating grin. From now on, I'll start documenting my gameplay, and creating a good image for that purpose is very important. His words were cut short by a painfully familiar voice from the past. I told you, creating an identity is very important. Memories flooded back, sharp as a cut. He saw his past self sitting beside his old comrade, face radiant with enthusiasm. Holding up a haho mask, he excitedly proposed, "Everyone in the guild wears haho masks. We'll become famous. Just watch. All right, let's name our guild Haho Mask." Returning to reality, the smile had vanished, replaced by a cold, pensive expression. He looked down at the mask in his hand, a completely different creation. I even thought of using a completely different identity. However, a spectral blue energy suddenly flared from the mask, its ethereal flames dancing wildly, transforming it into the shape of a grotesque skull, exuding an intimidating aura. I will not let others steal what belongs to me ever again. His hand tightened around the glowing Hade mask. I will use this.
Hyrkan's lips curved into a sharp, resolute smile. He told himself this was the time to prove he was right. Amidst the gloomy, fog-shrouded forest, Hyrkan commanded his companion, "Let's go, skeleton." As they neared their target, he raised a hand to adjust his Hade mask. A mesmerizing blue energy flared around him, and his eyes behind the mask glowed a deadly red. Standing right behind him, the skeletal warrior was also ready for battle, its eye sockets flashing with deep blue light. Before them lay a magnificent yet desolate sight, colossal, jagged rock pillars reaching straight for the sky. Right at a towering rock mountain, a swirling blue spatial gate radiated an ethereal light, marking the dungeon entrance. Without a moment's hesitation, Hyrkan and the skeletal warrior stepped directly into the energy vortex. A system notification appeared as soon as they passed through. You have entered Bima Mountain Cave Dungeon. Inside, the dark and damp space of a rock cave enveloped them. Hyrkan's footsteps echoed in the silence, each step filled with caution. He walked while observing his surroundings, his mind quickly analyzing the situation. "I think the blue werewolf will appear in this cave dungeon," he mumbled.
Inside the dark, dusty dungeon, Hyrkan narrowed his eyes, a confident, cold smile appearing beneath his Hade mask. He thought to himself, this isn't an easy dungeon, but with better equipment than I currently have, I'm sure I'll get through it. The goal is to finish in 10 minutes. Let's go. With that, he shot forward like an arrow, his black cloak billowing in the air. Right behind him, his loyal skeletal warrior swiftly followed its master, its ghostly blue eyes glowing brightly in the darkness. A few hours later, A loud crash shattered the silence. Hyrkan froze, his silver hair standing on end, his eyes wide with astonishment. He had unknowingly taken off his mask, revealing a face of extreme bewilderment as he looked around the empty cavern. He yelled in confusion, "Why are there no monsters at all?" The vast space only answered him with a deathly silence. Hyrkan ran a hand through his hair, muttering in despair, "This is insane. If someone had cleared this dungeon, there should have been a notification. Could it be a game bug?" Suddenly, he felt a slight movement behind him. Hyrkan spun around, veins bulging on his forehead, his eyes blazing as he glared at his subordinate. He growled, "What in the world are you doing?"
Hyrkan suddenly stopped, his eyes behind the Hade mask widening, a strong sense of unease rising within him. "Wait," he whispered, his voice tense. Simultaneously, the skeletal warrior beside him also assumed a wary stance. The ground beneath their feet began to tremble slightly, and a dark purple magic circle appeared, emitting an eerie glow. Hyrkan exclaimed in surprise, "This is..." Before he could finish, energy erupted violently. A massive, deep purple magical vortex surged from the ground, swirling furiously and roaring like a caged beast. The blinding purple light consumed the surrounding space, casting the shadows of Hyrkan and the skeletal warrior onto the cliff face, making them dance wildly. At the heart of the energy storm, a cold blue system message appeared, its text glowing brightly. "You have discovered an instant dungeon, the stage. Do you wish to enter?" The powerful magical current made Hyrkan stumble and fall to the ground. He let out a sigh, finally understanding the oddity of this dungeon. No wonder there were no monsters at all. This was an instant dungeon. These are one-time dungeons that appear randomly within other dungeons. When activated, the regular dungeon becomes completely empty until the instant dungeon is completed. Their difficulty is much higher than normal, but the rewards received are, consequently, many times more appealing. Hyrkan stared at the energy vortex, a cold bead of sweat trickling down his temple. Opportunity and danger walked hand in hand. The problem was...
Standing at the threshold of a challenge where failure meant death, Hyrkan pondered, his mind in turmoil. He turned to his skeletal companion, his voice filled with hesitation. "Logically, I should give up. If I die, I won't be able to play for 2 days. It's better to quit and do other quests." But then, a flash of determination ignited in his green eyes. His hesitation vanished, replaced by an unyielding, steely will. The moment he made his decision, a cold system message appeared before his eyes. "You have entered the stage." Instantly, a mystical purple energy surged intensely, enveloping Hyrkan and the skeletal warrior. Amidst the magical vortex, his face glowed with resolute conviction. "I just need to get through this." He decisively raised his hand, the familiar ha-ho mask covering half his face, transforming him back into the notorious hero slayer. When the light faded, a vast and desolate space appeared. Hyrkan and his skeletal warrior found themselves standing isolated in the middle of a colossal, ruined Roman amphitheater. Shattered stone seats stretched high, silent as mute witnesses to countless bloody battles of the past. The skeletal warrior curiously looked around. Hyrkan gazed up at the terrifyingly magnificent scene and exclaimed, "Is this an arena? It looks pretty daunting. Wonder what will appear here."
Beneath Hyrkan's feet, a torrent of dark energy surged violently. His face was tense, hidden behind the Hade mask as he gritted out each word. From the shadows, a colossal creature arose. Its massive body was covered in shaggy ash-gray fur, with eyes glowing red like burning embers. It stood towering amidst the desolate ruins, exhaling heavy breaths, its gaze fixed on Hyrkan and the skeleton warrior below. The monster lifted its head, letting out a sky-shattering roar, revealing jagged fangs and a mysterious glowing red seal on its forehead. A notification window appeared before Hyrkan, confirming the enemy's identity. Fallen Werewolf, level, ? Hyrkan's eyes widened in astonishment. He murmured in confusion, "Fallen? Why would something like this appear here?" Before he could finish his words, the werewolf lunged forward like a blurry black shadow. With horrifying speed, its razor-sharp claws traced a vivid red streak through the air. Instantly, Hyrkan barely managed to raise his sword to parry its claws, to Skeleton's surprise.
A world-shattering crash echoed as Hyrkan was thrown straight into the stone wall, causing it to shatter into pieces. He let out a faint, painful "ugh." Not far away, amidst the swirling dust, the loyal skeletal warrior turned around with a start. It gripped its sword hilt tightly, its eye sockets glowing with a cold blue light, and a growl emanated from its dry jaws. However, contrary to expectations, a phut escaped Hyrkan's lips, quickly bursting into a mad cackle, echoing throughout the ruins. He propped himself up with his sword from the rubble, his eyes gleaming with extreme excitement as he realized something. Hyrkan looked towards his skeleton warrior, his voice filled with exhilaration. "Why am I so lucky today? These corrupted monsters are related to the main quest." Hyrkan dusted off his clothes, his expression turning sharp and decisive. He stared intently forward, where the enemy was hiding, then commanded, "Hey, skeleton, if we don't kill it..."
With a cruel smile hidden behind the Hankari mask, an icy voice resonated through the chaotic air. "No dinner tonight." The skeleton with eerie blue eyes suddenly turned. Without hesitation, it forcefully swung the greatsword in its hand and held it firmly, ready to serve as a jumping platform for its master. The unexpected impact launched Hyrkan into the air, his body soaring like a cannonball over the stunned monster's head. As he reached the apex of his flight, a mystical purple energy burst forth, enveloping his body. From within that glow, the giant wolf tilted its head skyward and let out an earth-shattering roar. Graaah! Immediately after the commanding roar, a powerful and ancient command echoed from Hyrkan's beast form: "Inflict a curse."
A dark, deep violet energy began to gather in Hyrkan's palm, emitting low, menacing sounds. Its eerie light reflected on his cold, resolute face, hidden behind the Hade mask. With a sharp gaze, he condensed his magic to its limit before unleashing it. "Demonic curse," he growled. The dark energy instantly exploded, transforming into a massive, purple cleaving attack. The huge werewolf monster, with its glowing red third eye on its forehead, froze for a moment before letting out an angry roar. It couldn't dodge in time. The curse struck its massive body. Streams of malevolent energy like venomous snakes coiled tightly, gnawing away at the monster's power. Knocked backward onto the barren ground, it stumbled and then let out a deafening shriek of agony. Fresh blood sprayed from its shoulder, mixing with the purple smoke corroding its body. While the monster was still screaming in pain, Hyrkan was already in position for the next attack. A cold system notification appeared, confirming the effectiveness of the recent attack. The demonic curse skill had been activated. All of the target's stats would be reduced by 10%.
The giant wolf let out a sky-shattering roar, its body writhing in a wave of dark purple energy. Standing opposite the monster, Hyrkan calmly observed his results, a smirk flashing across his face. This demon's curse, not bad for a first use. However, the pain only seemed to further provoke the beast's wild instincts. It snarled, its ash-gray fur beginning to glow in a bloody red aura. Breaking free from the curse's grip, the wolf with bloodshot eyes and a glowing mark on its forehead charged directly at Hyrkan, its furious roar shaking the ground. "Oh?" Hyrkan subtly raised an eyebrow, a little surprised. Immediately, a system notification appeared before him. Fallen Werewolf has entered a state of fury. All status effects have been nullified. Understanding the situation, Hyrkan pulled up his hood, a chilling smile reappearing on his lips. He calmly thought, "I guess this wouldn't be an instant dungeon if it were that easy. I was going to save this for later, but perhaps now's the time to try it." As he finished speaking, his eyes became resolute. "Slot," Hyrkan commanded in a low voice, then decisively called out, "Activate." Immediately, a device on his wrist glowed with a mystical blue light. Through the Haho mask, Hyrkan's eyes also blazed a menacing red, signaling that a true battle had only just begun.
A surge of dark energy imbued with an enchanting blue hue suddenly erupted from Hyrkan, swirling violently like a storm. The ground beneath him trembled and cracked as a colossal energy vortex formed, its core a dazzling spear of blue light. From the heart of the maelstrom, pieces of pitch-black armor began to materialize. They zipped through the air, fitting onto his body one by one with sharp, clanging sounds. First the arm guards, then the pauldrons, and finally his entire form was encased in majestic battle armor, etched with mystical blue patterns. Blue flames flared fiercely around Hyrkan, illuminating the haughty mask that had just appeared on his face. His eyes behind the mask glowed brightly, and an arrogant, belligerent smile formed. He gripped the sword in his hand, feeling the power surging throughout his body. Fully encased in the gleaming armor, Hyrkan subtly curled his lip beneath the mask, his voice brimming with excitement. "Excellent! Let's begin."